What's up, guys? Dylan Rush for K-Chai Press, joined today by a welterweight fighter boasting an 11-5 professional record, currently riding a 4-fight win streak and coming off an emphatic submission victory over Daniel Morrison earlier this year. The reigning combat night welterweight champion, J.P. Too Much, St. Louis. How you doing, J.P.?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you for taking the time. It's been a long time coming. We've been talking about this one for a while, so I appreciate you coming here today, and we're gonna get this one done. We're gonna make it a good one. So we got a lot to delve into, JP, but I'm always curious about nicknames. You have a cool one, Too Much. Where did that nickname originate? Who gave that nickname to you?
Um, I I think it was one of my old training partners back in Virginia, and it kind of just it was one of those nicknames that came to from like my life as a fighter, and then also just how I am as a person. So a lot of times it's like from fighting, people just like, oh, you're too much for them. It's like you're too much because I was just buzz song through people. Like nobody was able to do anything to me, and I was just fucking people up. So they're like, oh, you're too much. And then personality wise, just like how I joke around, me talking shit, whatever it is, they're like, man, you're too much. And it kind of just stuck. And I was like, you know what? They're like, people would keep saying it over and over and over. And then I was like, all right, that's kind of like my nickname because every time I'm fighting, every time I do something, people's first response is always, you're too much. And yeah, the name just, it stuck. And I love that nickname. I feel like it flows too.
Oh yeah, it does flow. Like it rolls off the tongue. It's short, but it's sweet. I like it too. It's a good one. All right, I like to go a little bit chronologically. So if that's okay with you, I want to ask you about where were you born and raised?
I was, that's a tough one. I moved so fucking much, man. But
Really?
I was born in Baltimore. Um, raised there, like Baltimore County, but then also raised in Montgomery County, Maryland.
Hmm.
So two Maryland spots. I feel like I consider Montgomery County more my home
Hmm.
than anything, even though I only went to high school for 1 year in Montgomery County. But I have so much family that I was there all the time. So that's where I kind of consider more home than anything. But then I moved to Florida when I was younger, moved to Virginia, and all those in my younger years. But I would say Montgomery County and a little bit of Fredericksburg, Virginia. But I'm not claiming them because they don't rip me as hard as I feel like they should.
I respect it. I respect it. I heard in an interview that you said you grew up with very strict parents. And I feel like with strict parents, that could either go one way or another. Either the kid, when they turn maybe 17, 18, they leave the house, they've been with strict parents their whole life and they want to be independent. And maybe they go down the wrong path because their parents have been so strict and not giving them independence. Other times, I think maybe even more often, strict parents are the best parents. They help mold you as a person. And I'm pretty sure you said in the interview that you're grateful for how strict they were and it helped shape you as a person. Do you feel that way? And how strict were your parents?
it's I it's one of those hard ones because it's like as you get older, you see things differently. And I think I'm still more appreciative that they were stricter than being more lax because I feel like my personality, you can't be too lax with me because I'm gonna start, kind of veering off the
Yeah.
path and start doing other stuff. Because there's a little bit of mischievous to me. I toe the line a lot. At least I used to. So
Yeah.
I am more grateful that they were strict. Some things I'm like, you guys were like way too strict
Oh, dude.
about this. Yeah, like there is a time where I'm not gonna say which parent, I'm just say parents. I don't want to throw one under the bus if they see this. But like I'm just across the street playing basketball, throwing the football, like pretty much from the time I got off the bus until like 9 o'clock, just outside.
Hmm.
And my dad would always, oh, I already said it, but he would just be like,
I'm gonna bleep it out.
just like, you need to be back home, blah, blah. I don't know what you could be doing and all this. I'm like, I am right down the street. Like, you
Mm.
can drive, you can walk over and in 2 minutes see exactly what I'm doing. But yeah, they were a little strict. They were less strict than other Haitian parents,
Yeah.
but still strict. And like when I watch like Haitian, like I'm on the Haitian algorithm on social media, and the strict parenting styles show up. And it's like, yeah, I remember stuff like that. Because I had some freedoms, but it was limited. I felt like a work release prisoner. It's like I had some freedoms, but I was still low key in jail.
That's a funny way of putting it, man. Speaking of Haiti, one of my favorite fighters to watch and interview is Haitian, the Haitian sensation Neil Magny. I don't know if you've ever met him, but I wanted to ask you
Mhm.
what it means to you to represent Haiti within the realm of mixed martial arts.
I mean, it means a lot, man. Carry that flag with me, either as my headband, and then I have a flag. Shout out to my big sister. She got me. I had a small flag, and she was like, I don't like how small that flag was. So she went and bought me like a full size one. And for me, I'm just, our history is so rich. You know, we first, first ever nation, first successful slave rebellion, and then
Mhm.
we freed ourselves from slavery. And we just have a history of like fighting, you know, rebellious spirit, and you can't control us. You can't tell us what to do. We're not bowing down to anybody, and I carry that with me. And I feel like my personality is just like, no, like I don't care who you are. I don't like none of that shit matters to me.
Mhm.
And like in a realm of it's like, bro, if someone's like in the UFC or whatever, it's like I don't give a fuck what you're in, you're still lame. Like if you're lame, you're lame. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you just like that. Nor it's like there's a respect given no matter what. Is I'll give you respect for what you've been able to accomplish, but a lot of times you can see like people like, oh, I'm in this organization and whatever. It's like you got the opportunity. I haven't gotten it yet. But that doesn't mean that I won't slap the shit out of you if you talk to me like crazy. You don't get free perks just for things like that. And I feel like it is a lot of just that Caribbean culture, and then me being Haitian. It's like I'm not easily impressed. Shut up. I don't care who you are.
Mhm.
And I carry that all around, you know.
Being being a journalist and traveling across the country many times and going to a lot of different gyms. I still need to make it the trip to the gyms in Florida. But I've seen I don't even know if I should speak on this because I'm not a fighter, but I've seen definitely other fighters have told me that some fighters when they make it to the UFC, they think they're Hercules, they get an ego. But I think with a lot of fighters, that's not the case, that people, remain humble, remain true to who they are, true to their roots and whatnot. But would you say you've experienced a lot of that in your career? Like guys make the UFC and then ego gets blown out of proportion, or is it's pretty much a mix of the two, right?
I'd say it's a mix. And sometimes it's subtle, you know, it's not like a big change.
Hmm.
Sometimes I can like I'll say that I've seen for some people it's like gradual, and I've been around like guys in the UFC for a while now, so it's like just you see like a gradual change, and then sometimes it's like with each win like a slightly different version of them starts coming out. But I would always say it's not like it changes people, it just brings out like more of who they actually are, you
Hmm.
know. Success and all that, I don't believe it's like it's not going to change you. It's just like now you feel more comfortable to be who you want to be or who you are. You just didn't feel like you could before, because a lot of people have like a facade up. So I'd say it's like it's really hit or miss. Mostly I'd say that people have been fine. Um, but that's all surface level, and I keep a lot of things surface level because for some people it's like I'm not really trying to get to know you. You
Yeah.
know, it's like I don't want to be friends with everybody. It's
Yeah.
like cordial with people, but I'll say for the most part, it's been chill. There's only been a few times where I've been like, oh, this person thinks they're like big shit.
Gerald.
It is what it is. And it's like
You
you
heard
get
what
that
I
in
said?
every field of work.
You hear what I said?
What do you say?
You said this person thinks he's big shit or something. I said Gerald.
Man,
Gerald's fake as fuck.
Gerald, I always thought it was like hilarious. One of the things that we joke about is like his first UFC fight. Come back, we have like the celebration, all that stuff. Like everyone, all the roommates. Um, because me, my now wife, but it was my girlfriend then,
Mhm.
me, her, Mike Biggie Rhodes, and Gerald, we all lived together.
Wow.
First UFC fight, there was like a little bit of snow and all that stuff. We're like gonna have a party and all that. This man is like shoveling the sidewalk.
Where
And
was this?
this was in Milwaukee.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like looking back on it, it's like, nah, he's probably just doing that so he can seem like, oh, I'm so humble and all
Yeah.
that.
But that's
But
just what it is.
he's pretty much been the same fucking dude.
So you've been with Gerald that long? How long ago was his first UFC fight? It had to be over a decade, right?
2016?
So 8 years? Wow.
Was it 2016?
That sounds about
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, 2016 is when he fought Joe Gigliotti because I think for every fight before his UFC debut, I was cornering him.
Wow. So
Yeah,
what is he now? 37 and 16 or something like that?
something crazy.
Something
He
crazy.
had a shit ton of fights then. And
Yeah.
I remember thinking it's like people that have like 10 plus fights, 17 fights. It's like, bro, that's fucking crazy. That's a lot of fights. And then here I am, I have 16 pro fights. I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
It's like
Damn.
life comes at you quick.
Definitely. Definitely. Uh, well, on the topic before of strict parents, I was curious about how you got into mixed martial arts because sometimes I would think with strict parents, they wouldn't want you to go that route.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a martial arts fan. All the shows, Power Rangers, Batman,
Oh yeah.
the Street Fighter movies, Tekken, King of Fighters,
Yep.
everything. I just always loved martial arts, and I was always watching anime too. And anime has a big, martial arts influence,
Yeah.
especially with Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, Yu Yu Hakusho. So I've always loved martial arts. I was begging my parents from I don't know. I feel like I was like 5 years old when I first started. It's like I want to do karate. I want to do karate. It's like I wanted to do it so bad, and it. I'm not even gonna get into why I wasn't able to do it, but it always irritates me. But I always like fighting. Like, it was always just a fun thing for me. I love testing myself against other people, and I feel like I was gonna end up in martial arts no matter what. I ended up doing some martial arts, Hapkido, when I was like 11 in Baltimore,
Hmm.
and then wasn't able to get into any other schools until after high school. And there was just like a local MMA gym, and yeah, just would train there pretty much. And it was kind of one of those gyms where they didn't really show much of anything. There was not even really like a class schedule, just people showing up,
Hmm.
and that was pretty much it. That's how I got into MMA. Because
Wow.
I'd wrestled one season, my senior year. One of my friends was like, "Hey man, you should wrestle. Just try it out." Because we would always wrestle, and they're like, "Bro, you're strong. You're athletic. Just try it." And then I did, and I was like, I want to see what like MMA training is about. I never wanted to fight originally. I just wanted to train. But then here I am.
So when did you see it? When did it become like I want to do this as a professional career? I want to be a mixed martial artist for the rest of my life.
Uh, I would say probably after my third amateur MMA fight. Um, I had to change. I realized the light was like bouncing so hard off the white shirt.
Wasn't that your last amateur MMA fight or no?
No, my third. No, I had five amateur MMA fights. So it was after my third one where I was like, okay, I'm pretty interested in this one,
Mhm.
and it's all because I got beat up in the first round. I got wrecked. Nose broken, everything. Like it was bad. And I'd always had the idea that it's easy to say that you love something when you're winning easily, you know?
Mhm.
It's like, of course you love it. It's like the wins are coming easy. People are like, oh man. And it's like you're tough, you're fucking everybody up. And I was just like, I don't know if I really like it. I haven't faced any hardships in this yet.
Mhm.
So of course I like this because it's giving me like a lot of gratification, but I haven't earned anything. So I was like, whatever. And I kept on doing it. And then in that fight, it's like got my nose busted up. And then I went and won. I guillotined the dude, standing guillotine. And I had faced like he wasn't gonna show up at first, and then he showed up. I was like, we're at the fight, and they're like, yeah, your opponent's not showing up. And I was like, what the fuck? And like, okay, he is, but he's gonna be like, he didn't cut any weight. He's showing up and at what he is. And I was like, fuck it. All my friends had fought already. Everyone had won. I was the main event. And to get beat up the first round and then come through and win. And then after that, like my nose is all broken and swollen. And I'm like, all right, I think I kind of like this. And I was like, I guess I kind of want to see what I can do with this one. And that's when I kind of was more set on not like making something out of it, but being like, okay, I like MMA
Mhm.
for real. And like, what was it? That same year, like a little bit after that, I went to Rufus-Sport for the first time.
Wow.
And it wasn't until 2 years later where I actually moved over there because I had to like stuff with surgery and all these things. But yeah, after that, it was almost like immediate, like, okay, it's not just like an interest. Now I'm really kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say locked in, but not locked in. But I was determined at that point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. How was your experience at Rufus-Sport? Is that where you met Rafian Stotts?
Yeah, that's where I met everybody. Rafmian, Gerald, Biggie, Felder, Punk, everyone. And it was great in a sense of how much I learned, the experiences. Being that was like my first that was the first gym I actually learned like how to be an MMA fighter.
Mhm.
Because before my gym there was I wasn't at an MMA gym, nor did I have that many teammates, didn't have high level like MMA fighters. It was just me and my one main training partner, and then some other people that trained there, and we would travel to go to like a Muay Thai gym or travel to wrestle, or and then we'd have our practices at home. So I wasn't used to like what a professional team was kind of like, and it taught me a lot. Taught me how to be a true martial artist. Taught me how to, you know, train correctly, not be an idiot, and showed me how many like the levels between
Yeah.
like low level amateurs and high level fighters, because my first sparring day I got beat up by everybody, and it's like I say it all the time, and it's always the funniest story to me because of who this person is now. I was getting wrecked by everyone, Gerald, Biggie, you name it, and I saw this guy wearing basketball shorts and a tank top, and I was like, all right, let me get him, he's not gonna whoop my ass. Beat the shit out of me. And I'm like talking, and it was Bilal. And so
Of
like
course, bro. I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say
so back then it's like people didn't know who Bilal was like that, but
that.
he beat my ass so bad. It was pretty much like the nail in the coffin. Because I'm like, he can't do it.
Yeah.
There's no way that he's gonna beat me up too.
Yeah.
Because every time, like every person usually if they're wearing like the wife beater and the basketball shorts,
They're not as serious.
yeah, they're not serious. And I was like, what the fuck, man? And I was like, shit, did I make a mistake? Do I belong here? But like after that, like me and Bilal have been cool since then.
Yeah.
But it's just I find it so like funny and cool at the same time where it's like, of course I thought he wouldn't be able to do something, and then you look like fast forward years later, he's the UFC welterweight
Of
champion.
course. That's so funny. And you went over there thinking like, let me get some confidence back. Let me just win around real quick, and then you match up with Bilal Muhammad. That's funny. But
Yeah.
it seems like I don't know if it's like you said, the Caribbean culture spirit, the Haitian spirit, but it seems like based on what you said earlier, when you face adversity and when you overcome it, it makes you like the sport more. It makes you more and more into it. It makes you want to pursue it further. That's how it seemed like earlier in your career. Is that how it felt after getting your ass beat a little bit at Rufus?
Oh yeah. Because I was like, I'm not fucking going back home with my tail between my legs because this shit was tough. It's like I'm gonna figure this shit out.
Yep.
It's like you're not getting. I always say it's like there's no bitch in my blood. Like I'm not. You're not gonna see me just run away because something gets tough.
Hmm.
I feel like as just me, a person. I'm not gonna say as a man because no, it's me specifically. I'm not doing shit like that. And it's like I've even had it in fights like right after getting TKO'd. It's not, man, I hate this shit. It's fuck, man. Like I gotta figure this shit out. Like what the hell? And just thinking about like where I went wrong. And yeah, a lot of people do that, but I'm trying to approach it like with an analytical mindset and just like what like do I need to change up, and how can I fix these things to make me perform at the level that I need to. So there's always like a little bit of discouragement, but I try to like I ride the wave, and a little discouraged. I know that's gonna happen, but I don't let it get to my heart too long. And I'm like, I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna come back stronger. And that's kind of something I picked up from anime, and it's like a hard fight. They go through their sad moments, but they're like, all right, get back on that horse and you figure it out. And in Dragon Ball Z, I think it's called like a Zenkai boost. The closer they get to death, if they don't die, they come back even stronger. Like that near death experience makes them stronger. So
Like
I feel like,
Lucario. You know Lucario?
huh?
Lucario, right? Doesn't he get stronger? The guy, you know who Lucario is?
Who?
He's in Super Smash Bros.
Oh,
Well,
Lucario, he does.
yeah, he just gets more powerful the more damage he takes.
Oh, okay, yeah. And there's even a Vegeta has Ultra Ego. It's like
Mhm.
if he takes like damage, it's like it makes him stronger in
Mhm.
that form. It's one of his newest form. I don't know if you watch Dragon Ball Z or
I
Dragon
used to
Ball
play the
Super.
video games like religiously. You ever play the Dragon Ball video games?
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z Budokai or
All of them. I
Tenkai
played,
Budokai something.
yeah, all of them.
Yeah. So it's a big influence. So
Hmm.
I think that is something that plays into like the culture too, where like we're stubborn. It's like, no, I'm not. It's like you beat me up today, whatever. Tomorrow's a different day. It's like you were better tonight, whatever it is, but I'm not gonna look at this moment as, oh, this is my indicator that I need to leave. It's no, I need to fix this, and I'm gonna come back and tackle the same thing. And
Hmm.
eventually, it's like training partners, whatever it is. There's always a competition. Like you're not looking to beat your training partners, but you are supposed to like compete with them
Of
in a
course.
sense. Like how I look at Gerald. Yeah, we first start training. I couldn't get anything on him. Like there was nothing that I could really do.
Hmm.
But it's not about like beating him. It's just getting a little bit better. It's like, hey, if he submitted me 10 times, which hasn't happened, he has not submitted me 10 times. If he submits me 10 times tomorrow, at least let me make it like 9. I get out of one submission. Let me analyze what I did to get out of that one submission. And then over time, it's like, all right, now I've gotten it down to 7 to 5. Now he's only getting me 3 out of 10 attempts.
Hmm.
And that's the kind of mindset that I would approach it with. It's very gradual.
Yeah. It's cool because two things. One, lesser men would have folded right then and there in the first round of that third amateur fight. Then going to Rufus at getting your ass beat the first day, probably the first couple days or weeks. Lesser men would have hung it up right there. But you always try to battle through adversity, and it's cool to hear about how anime has played such a role in your career and your like mentality. Because I won't lie to you, I've heard so many people throughout the years, just growing up, college, whatever it may be, like shit on anime, like say like anime is stupid or this, call it different words than stupid and stuff like that, you know. But to see anime have not just you, of course, you're not alone. There's a lot of fighters out there, a lot of just people out there, athletes that have taken so much from anime and it's like helped them so much in their lives. And it's clear that you're a prime example of that.
Yep. I'm definitely one of those that my brain chemistry changed as
Hmm.
like a 5-year-old, 6-year-old watching Goku go through like a near death experience or Yusuke Urameshi from Yu Yu Hakusho, where it's like, okay, you push yourself. Life is going to be hard. It's all about how you respond to it.
Hmm.
And that's something that I've also worked with a mental coach. Shout out to Eric. Um, and just like I had that mindset, but then have like, we talk about it, reading books
Hmm.
and like tough shit is going to happen. Like life ain't easy. And I mean, you can fold, but I just don't believe in it.
Hmm.
And that's like that there's all I can really say on it. It's like I just don't believe in it. I'm not doing it. And I feel like when you make up your mind and say it's like no, like this is not happening, it's so much easier to maneuver through life.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, your sport, relationships, it's like I'm making this work. And then you'll start to do things that will actually like make it work.
Hmm. It seems like you have a lot of discipline, and I think that's a very good trait in this field, mixed martial arts. Did you ever watch Naruto, the English version?
Didn't watch it in English, but I watched the sub version. And that's yeah, Naruto is one of my favorite ones, One Piece. And I actually, shameless plug, I did a Naruto ramen cooking video on Instagram.
I was gonna ask you about the anime cooking show. What can you tell me about it?
I mean, I think there's been a few people that there's a few people on social media that do like anime cooking and all that, but I feel like mine is the coolest because I'm adding my own flavor to it. And like with the Naruto one, I did like the hand signs, I had the Naruto headband,
Oh yeah.
and I'm just adding my own creative spin to it. Plus, there's nobody as good looking as me doing it. So I feel like that changes everything. It's like not only do you get to see a cool piece of content, but you also get to look at me the whole time. So it's like go ahead and follow. And I feel like people have actually been liking it. I started just because it's like I love cooking. That's one of my passions outside of fighting.
Mhm.
And I love anime. I love how food looks in anime when they're cooking it. And I was like, you know what, I'll just do this. And like there was no intentions of me continuing it. I just thought it was like a fun thing because I was thinking about just like cooking regular meals. But then like the first one I made from One Piece just like blew up. And I think now it's like sitting at like 6 million views or something on Instagram.
Damn.
And I was like, oh shit. And then the followers came. And I
Mhm.
was like, at one point, I have like 3,500 followers, and now I'm almost at 20,000 off of that video, Naruto video. But the One Piece one just
Mhm.
blew my page up, and people are like, "Oh shit, he fights too." They're like, "All right, I want to stick around and see
Oh
it."
yeah, bro.
And I was like, "Well, I always thought that I needed like UFC or a big name promotion as a platform to push me, because I always thought my personality is going to be able to attract people."
Mhm.
But now I'm looking at it from a perspective of I can grow my own name,
Oh yeah.
and it's only going to grow bigger with time on social media. And then whatever, like I get to the UFC, I feel like my personality, my fighting style as well. Like the most important thing is, even with all the social media stuff, I still train my ass off.
10
I
finishes and
don't,
11 wins.
yeah, it's like I don't make a video and then not train, you know? It's like
Yeah.
I kind of tell myself if I'm going to make a video, then I have to train today. I have to do something. Not all the time because it can be unhealthy mindset where it's like, no, I can't do anything else but train. But it's just I'm like digital marketing. I'm marketing myself out and like showing it's like, hey, look, I don't even need a big name to have people following me.
Mhm.
And I get to the UFC, it's just gonna blow up more because my fighting style is one thing, and then how I'm able to speak on a mic, my interest, it's I can like bring a group of people who, you know, it's like I don't care about UFC, but I do follow this one guy who fights. Let me go tune in, you know?
Yep. Well, I was gonna say it's clear to me that you don't do the anime cooking show specifically to like gain fans or connect with fans. It's because you love anime, you love cooking, you put these two things together, and it's working out really well. But at the same time, it is helping you connect with fans a bunch. So, do you feel like it's important outside of your fighting to connect with fans and show your personality in a different way, like this cooking show?
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely important because for a lot of like times have changed. Social media is bigger. People want to know the person before they follow. Yeah, granted, people if you're big enough, people are like, I don't need to know you. I'm just gonna follow. But it does help you connect more. And I've it's always like a like 50-50 with me and fans because fans can be like annoying.
Yeah,
And you know,
they
like they
suck.
can be extremely disrespectful.
Yeah,
They just look at you as a piece on their parlay.
yeah,
That's all that they look at you as. It's no different than like horse racing. It's
yeah.
like they're just betting on you. I don't care if you got like you have an injury and you go into the fight and you can't perform and you got beat up. Now it's like I'm just looking at you. You fucked up my parlay. That's how people are looking at
Hmm.
fighters. It's like as betting and UFC got more popular, now it's you're seeing like more disrespect. There's still great fans out there, so
Oh,
I do think fans are extremely important. But then to a degree, I'm like, you guys are so disrespectful. Sometimes it's hard for me to even care about you guys like at all.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more personally. I'm not a fighter, but just like I have, I don't know, 5,400 followers, something like that. And I would say more than half are fighters and the other half are employees for promotions and stuff like that. People connected to fight game managers. I think fans suck. Not all of them, like you said, there are some great fans. I know great fans. My friends are great fans, but
Mhm.
I wish betting had nothing to do with the sport. Like I think betting, it didn't ruin the sport. It's still my favorite sport. It's still the best sport in my opinion, but betting has definitely been a negative contribution, has made a negative impact on the sport. So that's very unfortunate. But at the same time, me and you and everybody else, we kind of need fans. You know, we need to build our platforms. And for me, it's like I don't do anything that I do. I never post something like this will get a lot of likes, views, whatever it may be. But just the fact that if my platform grows, then I could do more for fighters. You could do more to show the cooking show, to show this, to show that, to show your passions, to teach people, to influence people the right way, as opposed to these fans that do the exact opposite. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Also, real quick before you answer, I don't know if you saw, I got a notification that the meeting's going to end. Well, once it ends, we'll just start up a new one. I just don't have the pro version of Zoom.
Okay, that's fine, man.
All right.
That's
But
good. But I like that's perfect. When I post something, like of course, yeah, I want it to do well because I know what it doing well can mean for my name
yeah.
and the platform. But it's like I don't specifically care about like the likes. It's like, oh yeah, fans are gonna eat this up and all that. It's like, no, I just want to grow my platform. That's it. And if I could do it without some of you annoying ass armchair quarterback
Yeah.
fans, I would love to. It's
Yeah.
like I don't owe you shit. And there's a lot of fans that just they're so arrogant, you know? It's like you don't train,
Hmm.
you don't do anything, you're not even around fighters. The most that you might get is doing like one of the UFC meet and greets. And you get to, pose up with a fighter, and it's like that. You can go to your job and tell your coworkers that, oh yeah, I met so and so.
Yeah.
Like that's it. But it sucks because also at the same time, without them, like we're not having as many opportunities.
Exactly.
And they know that. So then they become arrogant about it. It's like, you need us.
He
It's like,
does.
yes and no. Because
Not you
in all
specifically. I
honesty,
don't need
I was
you.
fighting for no fucking money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like nobody was watching, I would still fight. But it like it is a double-edged sword. And I do feel like I might struggle. Like once my name in MMA gets bigger, I'm in a big promotion like the UFC. I am gonna struggle because I can be a little bit of a dickhead and I have a smart ass mouth. And I do feel like if I fan catches me on a day where I just don't feel like dealing with some shit, I'm not gonna say I'm a swing on them or anything like that, but it's
You're
like
gonna
you
want
might see
to.
it's like there might be a headline. It's like UFC fighter J.P. St. Louis gets into it with the fans.
Standing guillotines to you.
Something. Or it's like UFC fighter roasted a fan up like so bad. But I mean shit, that could give me more fans.
Yeah, I
Like
think
you never know.
talking to you right now, if UFC fans or whatever promotion may be, when you get to, they're either gonna love you or they're gonna hate you. It seems like with your personality, there's not really a gray area, but I think more likely than not, they're definitely gonna love you. You're doing a lot of things right, both inside the cage. I mean, 10 out of 11 fights, 10 out of 11 wins you finished. You take pride in that being, I know we just talked a little bit of shit about fans, but do you take pride in the fact that you put on these fan-friendly fights for the fans in attendance and viewers around the world?
Yeah, and first it's like I don't do it for them.
I,
It's like so if they ever like,
just to make it
man,
clear.
it's like I don't give a fuck about what you think, bro.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
I like finishing fights because I love the thought of people come against me and then they just get finished some way or another.
mm,
And it's like that, like in I guess I'm a nerd out for a second. In judo, the ippon, like for when they throw them on their back.
yeah,
I read this book, and pretty much the reason why that's like the game, like the point, and it ends the match is because it's considered that in the war, in a battle in war, if you're able to throw someone on their back, that means that you have enough time to pull out your knife and stab them.
wow,
And the like end the fight, kill them pretty much.
Yeah.
And how I look at finishes is in a real war, technically I killed you.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it. Yeah, we know this is a sport, but the mindset is I'm finishing you. Like this is a fight and I'm getting you out of there. That's all I'm thinking about. And I always like to compare my fighting style. I'm a mercenary. And it's like your name is on the list, whatever, I just gotta take you out. It doesn't matter how I do it, I'm just taking you out. And there's a character in One Piece called like his name is Zoro, and there's like this picture. It's like people say that he's like possessed by the devil and all that, and he's got like his swords and his eyes are red, and that's how I always wanted my fighting style to be compared to, where how I am outside of the cage. It's like I'm really just like an unserious person who jokes all the fucking time.
Yeah.
But then when the doors close, it's like, nah, he's a demon.
Yeah.
And that's just how I always like the characters I always love usually are like that as well. They're usually I forgot what there's a specific name for a character like they're not the main character, but they're the second most important character.
In the
And
Oscars, it's like the supporting role, but that's definitely not the main.
yeah, but like a lot of my characters, they're like Zoro, he's one of those characters.
Like a secondary character, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're just as strong as the main character. Really, they could go off and do like their own thing. Like a guy in Fire Force called Benimaru Shinmon. He could be his own main character, and he's just so strong that like, yeah, people leave him alone.
Mm-hmm.
Jita, I love characters where it's just like this person is so fucking strong, they could have their own show. They really just kind of hang around just cause. But
Yeah.
then you see them fight and they're like, holy shit, what is wrong with this guy? Like, why is he like this? He fights like he has problems at home. And that's how I kind of want people to talk about me. It's like he's just like a demon when he gets in there. And afterwards, like you wouldn't think that I would just battered somebody and like was dancing around in their blood. And then after it's like, oh yeah, it's like, hey, nice to meet you. Thanks. I'm gonna go to my hotel room with my wife and we're gonna watch Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, yeah. I love that show.
Bro, that's one of my favorite shows ever. I watched it like 3 times.
I live in New York, bro. When the season in New York, when Mayor Bloomberg kicks him out of the city, bro, for like saying whatever about Michael J. Fox, like he was whispering. Oh my!
Oh yeah.
So, he's like, get out of my city. Were you undefeated as an amateur? Because you said you had 5 fights, but it shows 3 on Tapology, I think.
Yeah, they weren't doing the best job with keeping up to date with those. So I had 5 amateur MMA fights, and then I had like 5 mixture of kickboxing, Muay Thai, and USA Boxing. I had 1 fight with them, but like I had 10 fights total as an amateur for all combat sports, and all of those I was undefeated in.
Wow, that's crazy. 1, 2, it's just crazy how much different it was back then. Obviously, the sport has grown so much in the last 15 years, even the last 5 years. But like the fact of like you were not only were you like, it would be one thing if you were a prelim, but even then it would be crazy. But you were the main event. And on fight night, you're what, in the locker room, and the guy's like, yeah, your opponent might not be showing up. Then he shows up, he didn't make weight, nothing. Like nowadays, I feel like, I mean, some of the, amateur scenes, maybe in different countries, especially, there's probably still some crazy stuff, but like nowadays, that is not, happening too often. So
Yeah, it's a lot more organized, and it's like the speed in which it happened is pretty wild because even by like 2015, things started to change.
definitely.
Um, but I remember it's like warming up. I would fight at the fairgrounds in Fredericksburg, and I'd be warming up in like a barn shed. Like I'm literally looking at like hay, and that's where they would have all the agricultural fair would be there, and I'm just like, this is fucking shitty.
Not just promotions, just like the way people train, the way people recover. Like I was just looking at was it Joe Louis or maybe Sugar Ray Leonard? One old boxer, just like his training regimen, like the way he recovered. Like no hate, of course, people just didn't know as much as they do now. But like the stuff they were doing was crazy compared to like, nowadays. People have broken it down to a science with the nutrition, with all the stuff that goes into it. So it's just crazy to see. You guys were just like, you still are, of course, but like it it was like more, I don't want to say real fighters back then, but it was like more savage, like more just like getting in there, just like throwing down, especially in the early days, like probably when you were starting.
Oh yeah. I mean, like when I was coming up, I was watching the guys. I mean, crazy. Jose Aldo's still fighting,
Yeah.
but like Uriah Faber, Cerrone, um, GSP. You remember Brian Stan? Like
Yeah.
Brian
Yeah.
Stan,
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris Leben. I remember watching
Mhm.
them like on pay-per-views,
Yeah.
and it's just interesting to see. But it's like I'm also in the age of GSP,
Hmm.
and he was like one of the smarter fighters, Demetrius Johnson,
Hmm.
and like that was like that changing of the guard, like the GSP, Demetrius Johnson, and fighters. It's like no, they're doing everything like pretty well.
Yeah.
Like even Rory McDonald.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's different. And I was thinking about that. It's like yeah, back then they were like more savage,
Hmm.
but then also like you mentioned like those old school boxers and like fighting in the 80s and all that. And it's like there's a lot of people like not to say Joe Louis, but I'm like they were doing some different drugs back then
Oh,
too.
yeah, that
That
too.
crack was different back in the 80s because there was I forgot who it was. It's like a linebacker. Like he was like, oh, I was on crack during like
Yeah. LT,
record.
Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah,
Lawrence
Lawrence Taylor,
Taylor.
record numbers on crack. It's like crack was different, man. I say all the time, crackheads in those times are different than like today's crackheads. Like those
Yeah.
crackheads, they'll fix your car. They can run like a 40, and then they'll go and beat somebody's ass.
The same thing. Bro, and even like fighting especially, but like even 70s, 80s NBA players were just fucking like coked up like before the games, during the games, halftime in the
Seriously.
locker room, bro. It's crazy. It was crazy. It was just different. And I wouldn't say like again, like I try to like watch what I say because I'm not trying to disrespect any of these people. A lot of these people we're talking about are legends, but like I just feel like when it comes down to it, like it was less about fight IQ. Like even to go as far as to say like fight IQ was less of a thing even in like the early 2000s with in fighting, and it was more just like who has more heart, who has more grit, who's like a more of a savage kind of. So it's but I love that. I love watching fights like that. I love watching like Don Fry and I forgot the other guy's name, but stuff
The
like that.
Asian dude,
Yeah, the Asian
they
dude.
just rock 'em
Yeah,
style.
yeah. Like it's awesome. But nowadays it's like I like that it's like more of an art now. It's like beautiful. One second, someone's knocking on my door.
All right.
That was my brother. My bad. I'm gonna cut that out. But yeah, I was just having that conversation with someone this week that like I forget who it was, but it's just like more of a it's more like beautiful. It's more of a sport low key than it is just like, just like fighting.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's like because you do have a lot of that, and I feel like also to a degree you do have a lot of people who are still like on that savage shit.
Yeah.
There are some fighters like, nah, he don't give a fuck.
Oh yeah.
He's just swinging, but it's definitely different now. But then you had those amazing displays of like technique from like Sugar Ray,
Hmm.
the beautiful display of violence from like a Roberto Duran. Uh, but then you also have like
Defense from Floyd,
yeah,
like the defense too. Yeah.
and then like the fight with Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns.
Yeah.
They're like
That's like
they're
my
both
favorite boxing
skilled
match
boxers,
ever. Yeah.
but they just went at the bell rang and
Yeah.
boom, started throwing. So it's just interesting. I feel like you have less people that would be like, we're both skilled, but fuck all this shit. It's
Yeah.
like we're
Yeah.
gonna meet in the center and
Yeah.
throw. Because now people like your record, it means everything.
Of course.
It's people are so obsessed with like undefeated, like Floyd.
Yeah.
Floyd went undefeated, and it's just like he's able to say that, and now everybody wants
He
to be
changed
undefeated.
everything. He changed
Yeah,
it.
everybody wants to be undefeated, and then I don't agree with it, but you have like more than two losses, and people are like, "Oh, he sucks."
But that's why I like mixed martial arts so much more than boxing. Like that's one of the primary reasons. Like I have a million reasons, but like the fact that like in mixed martial arts you could lose two in a row and you could still be like that guy. Like you could lose two very exciting fights in a row and it's like your stock doesn't even drop. Like Khalil Roundtree, his stock rose. His stock rose. Like
Yeah,
you could lose a fight and your stock rises. And low key you could win a fight and your stock could, I wouldn't say drop, but like your stock could say like Moicano, I don't know how, but like he cooked Benoit Saint Denis and he didn't move up in the rankings at all. That's crazy. That was insane.
That was beautiful in
Yeah.
terms of like how quick he got him down and then
Didn't
getting
win any
hitting into his
time.
back, hooks in, mount. Man, I was like, holy
As a
shit.
huge underdog in France in the main event against someone that's like supposed to be, you know, he was a favorite for a reason. Like this guy was like in the army in France and stuff. People always saying like this guy definitely killed people, like all this crazy shit about Benoit Saint Denis. And Moicano goes in and does that, and like not not just gets him down, but just like wasted no time. Like was like, rain ground and pound. Like it was crazy. All right, but back to you real quick. We
Yeah.
we love talking. We go off track, but all right. So you started off you undefeated 10-0 across your amateur fights. You started off on a bit on the shaky side with a 3-3 record through your first 6 professional fights. What do you feel like might have been holding you back then from realizing more success earlier on in your career?
Damn, I forgot how shaky it was.
It wasn't that shaky, bro. It was 3-3, and you fought some
Yeah.
big names in your early pro career.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was just there's a sense of like confidence and being comfortable and not like overthinking stuff. I feel like I was definitely plagued by that. You want to do so well, and I'm not gonna. There was definitely other things, and I'm not gonna like touch on those too much because make I don't want to cause any like issues with certain.
No, that's fine. I don't want you to cause issues either.
Yeah, but it's like I definitely feel like sometimes when you're not in the best headspace
Hmm.
and certain things in the environment might be hurting
Hmm.
your progression, that can definitely play a role. And I feel like it did affect me a little bit. Um, but at the end of the day, it's like it's still on how you respond. It's like I could have not let it affect me. And I think I didn't realize how it was. And plus there was just like I fought some tough people early. I fought quite a few undefeated like prospects, or I fought prospects in general for a good majority of time. And like nowadays you see even then like people would be built up. And
Hmm.
I felt like I was never really built up. I kind of was just thrown right into fighting like tough people off rip. Like my second pro fight was against Tim Hiley, and he had been at Rufus Sport the whole time, and he was fresh off of like changing gyms. Took
Hmm.
that fight on 5 days' notice, cut 25 pounds, and I had just fought, and I hadn't been able to train because I had like a cut on my eye. And granted, I should have been like hitting the bag. I didn't know any better,
Hmm.
but it's just I had that tough of a fight for my second pro fight,
Yeah.
and it's just one of those things. Like you learn, and like it's not an excuse because there was a few moments where I could have finished the fight and I didn't, but I had to learn how to do things. Like 2015 was my first time actually training for real. I didn't know what it was like to actually like train like a real fighter.
Hmm.
And I remember after that fight, it's actually pretty funny. I was so like hurt and so upset. It was the first time I ever lost a fight, and I'm sitting in my family room with the all the like lights off, and I'm just like, and Gerald comes up, and he's like, because he was just on a trip, I think, with Ben Askren for one of his fights and won, and he comes back and he's like, "You all right, man?" And I told him my feelings. Like I came back to the gym that Monday, the next Monday. I fought 3 round hard fight, was back in the gym Monday, and like that's when Gerald had me, but he like really took me under his wing and started like breaking like techniques down, grappling stuff because there's just holes I didn't know. Like I really did not know much of anything except for I just knew to fight. Like and I knew some judo because I did judo, but MMA and judo are completely different. So it took me a while to figure things out. And I going back to the question, I feel like I did like a long-winded way of getting back to this, but learning how to actually do like techniques under pressure and actually having like a system of things to follow. I feel like that played a big role. And then my experience, like I was finished like the fights I would win, I was like finishing them quick. So I was never getting that cage time.
Hmm.
So I feel like even now, it's like I just like I've had 4 fights maybe in total or 5 that have gone past the first round and 16 fights and I only have that many like that few of fights that have gone that long. It's like I wasn't getting cage time and like I tell people I feel like there's like I have talent and a lot of potential but you need like you have to have like the cage time to match it. So I have so many fights, but then my amount of time that I've been in the cage is so little in comparison to other people with 16 fights. So I think there was a lot of like comfortability that I had to get used to, like understand what it's like. Now you got to sit down on that stool, get ready to go back out there and handle that pressure, you know?
But then I feel like you did just that. You overcame a lot, you improved a lot because after starting out 3-3, you rattled off 3 consecutive wins and closed out 2019, perfect 3-0 record, all victories coming by way of submission. So did you make any specific changes? I know this might be something you could skip over if you don't want to talk about it, but specific changes to your training camp or maybe just your mentality ahead of that win streak? And what are some things that may have helped you hit a new stride in 2019?
2000, it definitely is because of 2018. 2018, I lost back to back, Josh Streaker and then Chaos Williams.
Hmm.
And looking back, I came back really early after Josh Streaker because I got TKO'd and came back to the gym and started training like pretty quick. And it's like brain is still a little like
Yeah.
fuzzy. And I got KO'd against Chaos. And after that fight, Biggie was one of the ones. Biggie and Gerald were there, but they're like, bro, like you're gonna have to like switch some shit up, like actually take like grappling seriously in a sense of yeah, you can submit people, but you have to be able to switch it up. You can't just be like standing all the time. Like people have to have like a threat of something else. You're a mixed martial artist. It's not like you're a kickboxer and then you went into mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
And he was just like, if you're not able to add to your game, like this isn't going to be a fun ride for you. And this is like right after the fight. Like I'm in the back room and he's saying this, and it wasn't like he wasn't saying it out of like a place of like anger or trying to shit on me.
Yeah.
It was like some real ass advice. He's like, bro, you're going to have to like do these things if you want to make it wherever you were trying to make it. And I took like some time off, didn't get hit for a little bit. I sat in my feelings for a while. I was so in my feelings. I got tagged in like a video from that fight on Instagram, and someone had tagged me saying, it's like, oh, JP is going to come back stronger. I reported the whole page. I reported the post. I was like, I'm not trying to see this bullshit. I was like, get this fucking out of here. I was like, why would you tag me? I was like, this fight just happened like a few days ago. It's
Yep.
like, don't tag me in this shit. And but yeah, I just sat there and I was like, okay, it's like if I really am gonna take this seriously, I'm gonna have to switch it up. And there like one of my friends, if I can find it real quick, it was a picture, it's like the toughest people aren't always the ones who win, it's the ones that like keep going
Mhm.
after they lose. Something like that. And it's a picture of Naruto, little Naruto and then big Naruto.
Mhm.
And he's like talking to himself pretty much. And I've kept that picture since then because it's like I'm an anime lover and it's
Yeah.
just a good reminder of it's not always like how you start, it is always how you end. And you can have the most fucked up beginning ever and still end up making it, having a great career, having a moment where you look back and it's like, yeah, at first it was pretty shaky, and then I switched some stuff up, and like you can become a champ, whatever it is. So it's like inspiration that way. And I also just like pride itself. I remember, Adam, I forgot what his last name is, but MMA comedian. He
Yeah,
does
yeah,
the
yeah.
MMA roast.
Fuck, I'm forgetting his name too, but yeah, I know who he is.
Oh, here. This is the picture. Let me
Wait,
make
put it
sure.
down a little bit. Yep. Yep. Send that to me. What's his name?
Gotcha.
Adam shit.
I can't believe I forgot his last
I
name.
need to look. Yeah, I've seen this page so many times. I don't know how I feel like it's like it starts with an R, but I might be bugging. Hold
Adam
on. Adam Hunter?
Adam Hunter, that's
Adam
what it is.
Hunter, yep.
Yeah. So Adam Hunter, he came to Milwaukee and he had a show, and I was sitting up front, and this was in 2018 after I had taken, I think, two of my losses, and like he was roasting Gerald, roasted Biggie, and then I was like, "Fuck, he's gonna get to me. I'm not ready to get made fun of." And he was like, "Hey," he talked to me. I was like, "Shit, here it comes." But you have no idea what he's gonna say, and I'm with my wife and all that, and he's like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "This is a good pro fighter." He's like, "What's your record?" And I was like, 3-3. And he was like, "Yeah, good luck with everything." And I was just like, "Man, this sucks." And I was like, "Bro, this is such a shitty, annoying
Life.
feeling right now." Yeah, I was like, "Fuck
No.
everything." But I was just, I was very determined where I'm like, that's not the, like, my record isn't who I am.
Hmm.
But to a degree, in terms of fighting, it does tell a little bit of a story. And I was like, I need this narrative to change. And the only way I can change this is if I approach this game differently and smarter. And, I had a lot of guys that could help me out, Bilal Muhammad. I've talked to him a lot, just getting pointers, just seeing what he thinks about things. Gerald always, and then Biggie as well. Then even other guys like Sergio, Rafion, just
Hmm.
grabbing bits and pieces. And I don't always ask a whole bunch of questions. I would ask most of my questions to like Gerald, Biggie, and then Bilal, but I would just always grab little bits from people. And it's like, this person is successful at this thing. Let me see what they think. And I feel like it helped out a big amount.
It definitely did, man, because three straight finishes after that, got to 6-3. You're now on a 4-fight win streak, three coming by way of finish. You finished your last fight earlier this year, March of 2024, Combat Pro, 10 finishes and 11 fights. Do you feel like at 32 years old, we're going to see, or this is the best version of JP St. Louis the world has ever seen?
Yeah, I just keep getting better. That's how I say it. This me, like the fight from March, I am different from that fight.
Hmm.
And after every fight, there is a, like, you should be happy about your performances, and that's something that I've learned how to do.
Hmm.
But the way that I, like, after that fight and how I was training, it's like you would think that it's like, bro, you should be happy. Like take a break. And I know that you should. And I know that there's always a balance to everything.
Hmm.
But it's like I got even more serious. Like I got with the mental coach after winning. Usually people like they lose.
Yeah,
And
a
like, all right, I
couple.
need something. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I need to keep this shit going and approaching things differently, being more technical with like my goals, writing it down. And it's like I'm working on this and I'm gonna do this like every single day. I have a mental note of doing this every single day. And just gotten better since that fight. And I always say for anybody, like you keep giving me time to get better, I'm gonna get better. And I'm gonna be even more of a nuisance for the next person I fight. And you're just making this harder for everybody else because now I'm just gonna keep terrorizing people on the regional scene.
Yep.
When I'm like, you shouldn't have fought me, in all honesty. It's like, I'm sorry that the cards rolled, like were handed to you this way. The
Hmm.
dice were rolled and it was not going to be in your favor because as soon as my name came up, pretty much it was already sealed. Like, sorry, I'm going to have to beat the shit out of you. Better luck next time, buddy. And that's just the mindset that I'm taking about it. And for anybody that sees this, I'm like, It's like, sorry if you don't like how I'm saying it, but I really don't give a fuck. That's
Yeah.
what's gonna happen. And I keep getting time. You see me, and they're like, yeah, one day we're gonna fight. Yeah, and that one day when we fight, it's gonna suck for you because I do not take breaks.
hmm
So
So I was wondering, I think I know what you're going to say about this, but I see a lot of guys all the time, whether it be UFC, PFL, they come into these big organizations, the top few organizations in the world, and they're like 6-0 or 7-0 or 8-1, 9-1, 9-0, but they haven't really faced anyone. They've handpicked their opponents, kind of maybe they have a manager, whatever the case may be, but they're not as battle tested. And a lot of these guys get exposed when they make it to the big show. But what confidence do you have knowing that even though it hasn't come yet, your time in the UFC or whatever other organization may be, you're so much more battle tested than a lot of guys that have gotten their opportunity, that have gotten their shot. And when you finally do make it to the UFC, you'll be a lot more prepared than some of these other guys that have made it to the show before you.
and you're saying like, what do I like my thoughts on that?
Yeah. So
Oh,
overall,
it's like I'm gonna gut them like a fish. That's that's the issue. Like I've seen it for so long, and I'm like, all right, this person is talented, but you know how many fucking talented people there are out there? But are you like, do you really have that dog in you?
hmm
Are you really like ready to go in a fight? And I'm not gonna say to the death because yeah, there's rest and all that stuff. But are you prepared to take yourself somewhere that you really don't like feel comfortable in? Because you've gotten to pick all these fucking plumbers that have they're like 35, don't even train, didn't even really train that much. Somehow they became a pro, and you're fighting these guys. Like you're fighting guys that are just randoms. Like how the fuck did you even find this person to fight you? And you're feeling all confident off of fighting these cans. Like I call people, it's like you're pretty much like a recycling factory. It's like I just give you all my recyclables and you're gonna crush the cans and somehow you're gonna make it big. And I guess you can say to a degree, it's like it can be smart because your confidence raises, and a confident fighter is like a dangerous fighter.
hmm
But you're confident when everything is going right for you. And you might like this because things have been going right for you. And then you get like someone like me where it's like, no, things have not gone right for me,
hmm
but I've made a point to continue moving forward, and I'm going to break you. Yeah, fine. You might hit me, but I'm going to hit you too. And I've been hit, I've been cut up, I've had all those things, injuries in fights, and you haven't had that because you've been fighting fucking plumbers. Or there's nothing wrong with being a plumber. But if you're fighting these people that aren't as serious as me, it's going to be a bad night for you because I pride myself on being that person. It's like I just want to fuck up your day. Like that is all it is. Like for me, I'm a villain to you. And it's
hmm
like, why are you so adamant on hurting this person? Well, because if he's Batman, then I'm the Joker. I live to just ruin your night. That's all I'm here for. It's a nightmare. This is gonna suck for you. This is gonna be great for me. And maybe you should have picked a new sport. Afterwards, always respect and all that,
Yeah.
but they for like those guys that have these undefeated records that haven't fought anybody, that is the case. You were able to build all of this because you had everybody hand selecting opponents. You're like a privileged rich kid who doesn't know what it's like to work. And when
Yep.
you finally have to work a little bit, you're crying.
Yep.
It's like you want to quit. Whereas there's other people, it's like, man, I've been in the mud
hmm
my whole life. And it's like that's why that term's like getting it from like out the mud.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you didn't have to do that. So when it's time to get your hands dirty, you start crying and you start, man, I don't want to be here anymore. And not that it can't happen to fighters that are tough because anybody can be faced with like wanting to quit.
hmm
But the longer you've been in it and the more tough fights that you've had, you've been faced with that decision more. And if you're winning more than you're losing, then that obviously means that you look at that option and then you're like, nah, fuck all that. So I look forward to getting one of these guys, even if they're dangerous. It's just no matter what, there's always fighters like, damn, that guy's pretty good.
hmm
But I always, no matter who it is, I'm like, I would find a way to beat them. It's like,
Yeah.
you're not. any different than me. It's like if I punch you in the fucking face, you're gonna bleed.
Yep.
And at that moment, like we're all the same, like tall, stronger, whatever it is. It was like, I'm gonna kick you in the face. And then what? Even it's like you're 6'5". I've just kicked 6'5" people in the head. You're not just because you're whatever attributes you have, you're not better than me. And I am a little bit arrogant in the sense of I'm me, and that overshadows everything about you because you're just not me.
It's crazy. This is going to be the dumbest thing I've said in this two-part interview, but if I was your next opponent and I was watching this interview, I'd be like, fuck. I swear, I'd try to fight anybody else, bro, just based off the shit you're saying. I swear. I've never said that to anybody, but just like how you talk about this shit, I would just be like, yeah, let me get a different opponent, man.
Yeah, I should stop talking like that. It's just, I'm being too
Because you're trying to get fights.
yeah, I'm being too truthful. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, why can't I get fight? Well, JP, the way that you're talking is like a sociopath. So maybe you should stop because it's like they see this interview and then they go and look at your records. Like all this guy does is finish people.
hmm
And they're like, nah, I don't really feel like dealing with all that. So
Yeah.
I've been trying to like mix in. It's all a plot, man.
Mixing
I've
some
been trying to mix in
decisions.
these, huh?
I said mixing some decisions, mixing some, you know.
It's like I need to make some more like goofy, stupid videos and like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm just a nerd, guys. Just like I'm not
I'm just
actually
I'm
this
just a
person.
chef. I'm just a chef that likes Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
I fight
exactly.
on the
It's like, man,
side. I
I'm a
fight on the
nerd.
side. Yep. Yep. All right, real quick. I got a speed round for you. Uh, we're 70 minutes for before the speed round. We're 70 minutes into this interview, and a lot of journalists, I don't like to do this, but a lot of journalists, this is one of the first questions they ask fighters. So I got to ask you this since we're over an hour in. What's next for you, man? You fought for LFA, CFFC, Combat Night, a handful of other promotions. You're in a 4-fight win streak, a lot of finishes, 10 finishes and 11 wins. What can we expect to see from you moving forward? And are you looking to get another win under your belt maybe before the end of this year?
Definitely. I'd love to have another fight, even another 2 fights, just to make that case of I'm fucking real and I'm a real threat to this 170 division and I just keep getting better. So I can't say what's next because like we really never know.
Mhm.
But been staying ready. The UFC calls. I'm ready to pick that up and like I'll fly to Europe, Australia, wherever the fuck I need to be.
Mhm.
But I just want to show everybody what I've already known about myself and what a lot of people have known about me. That once I get there, you guys will see exactly why I've been talked about by a lot of like high level fighters the way
Mhm.
that I have been with so much respect for as long as they've been doing it.
Oh yeah. All right, I got a speed round for you. You ready? Nothing about our interviews have been speedy so far, but that's a good thing. But now we got to do the speed round. We're running out of time.
All right.
Dream opponent, past or present, any weight, any.
Um, damn. Let's see. Dream opponent. Uh, have the name. It's um not Jordan Mean. I always wanted to fight him.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard that name in any of my hundreds of interviews.
But it was just like a thing. No, no, no. Jake Shields. I wanted
Jake
to fight him so
Shields.
bad at first. I don't know why, but Jake Shields.
Oh shit.
And I think it's because of his grappling, the threat he is with
Yeah.
grappling,
Yeah.
and how like how annoying those type of fights can be. It was like one of those.
I like it. I like it. What about dream venue? Either arena or city or country that you would love to fight in one day.
Um, I would say I've always wanted to fight UFC in Maryland.
That would be cool. UFC
Yeah.
Baltimore. Hell yeah. Favorite, as a guy that has, I don't know how many submissions in your 11 wins, favorite submission to practice.
Rear naked choke.
Hell yeah. What actor would play you in a movie?
um, I don't know what actor. I can say that someone recently said that I look like Craig from fuck, I wish I remember the show. But I'll say dream actor to play me, Elon Noel.
Okay.
If I have his name correct, Elon Noel. He
I don't
was in,
know, but I'm gonna look it up and put it side by side up.
yeah. Yeah, that's his name, Alon Noel.
Okay, got it. And then I don't even know if I should ask this question. You could say pass because the question has the word hypothetical in it, but I heard you mention you have a big sister earlier, so it's up to you. But my question was, which teammate would you not let date your hypothetical sister?
Any of them, they all suck. Nope. And it's not even from a standpoint of it's like, oh, nobody's touching. It's like, no, you guys just aren't worth anything. She's amazing. Both my big sisters, they're amazing, and you guys aren't. So
All right, last question. I appreciate the time. This honestly, this is my second longest interview of all time. My first longest would be Dan Severn. I think we went for 2.5 hours. It was in person. That shit was crazy. This
damn.
is back in the day when I was just starting. So I had my friend pull up to the interview with me in Arizona. I had my friend holding a phone like this for 2.5 hours, and he wanted to kill me after because I told him it was gonna be like 20 minutes. Uh, but I finished every interview with this question. I'm curious to hear what you had to say when it's all said and done, fighting, training, anime, cooking shows, whatever it may be. What do you want people to remember most about JP Too Much St. Louis above all else?
I would say that it's just that I was a real ass person. I wanted to say something else, but I was a real one from day one until the end of my days. I kept it real, and even with my like funny sense of humor, it's I was able to channel the demon in when I had to fight people. And I always say it's like really I just want to be considered one of the most dangerous fighters of all time. That's always been my goal in terms of fighting, but outside of fighting, it's anything that I put my like mind to, I did it.
Mhm.
And whether it's being on social media, it's like, man, he was really great at that. Fighting, he's great at that. Being a great husband, being a great father, and just I take pride in being great at everything. So I think that's what I really would want people to say. It's like he took pride in anything that he cared about, and he did it to the best of his abilities.
Oh yeah, that's a great way to be remembered, man. JP Too Much St. Louis, funny outside the cage, great anime cooking show. Check it out on Instagram, all of its different social medias. And man, you're a very experienced fighter on the regional scene. 10 finishes and 11 wins. I'm sure that we'll be doing an interview ahead of your UFC debut pretty soon. So keep an eye out for him if you're a fan. If you're a good fan, if you're one of the shitty fans, stay away from both of us. I appreciate it.
All
Thank you for doing this with me. Thank you for taking the time, bro. It was a long time coming, and I'm looking forward to the next one, man.
right, thanks. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, bro. Take care.
All right, you too.
See you, man.